Now that the Pope has been paroled, I am ready to hear his confession, especially if his sin involves his red Prada shoes. I bet Jesus would have looked great in red Prada shoes, what the well-dressed messiahs are wearing. It makes you wonder what the crucifix would have looked like if, say, Gucci had designed that little loincloth that they always depict Jesus wearing. Anyway, the fun part about hearing a confession is assigning penance. And I don't think Emeritus is going to like his. The first time I went to confession, I was about 6 years old. Now, you're not supposed to have your first confession until you're 7 years old, but I was visiting an aunt who figured, if I'm going to confession, you're going too. She must have spotted the darkness in my soul. So I went into the confession booth, and I didn't know the routine, and the priest yelled at me because I told him I hadn't committed any sins. You didn't commit any sins? He said I was wasting his time. Don't come back until you've sinned. Now, if I'd known I was going to confession, I would have prepared better. Maybe I could have stolen some candy or told one of my teachers to fuck off. Maybe I should have told the priest to fuck off so I'd have a good sin to confess for my official first confession. Anyway, he gave me a penance even though I hadn't done anything. Say 4 Hail Marys and 2 Our Fathers. Yeah, I'll rattle those right off, Padre. When I was a kid, the sin I usually came up with when I went to confession was that I was disobedient to my parents. Not really a sin in my book, but it kept the priest happy. They loved this one. It was one of the commandments. The 10 Commandments came in handy if you couldn't think of anything else to say in confession. Yeah, this week I coveted my neighbor's wife and her daughter. Now, the second part always confused the priest because technically it really wasn't a part of the commandment. But I think it's implied because I think the commandments assume you're married and you shouldn't be looking at anybody. Unless your wife is 100 years old and you want a kid, then you can have sex with your maid. You have to read the 10 Commandments in context. Obey thy father and mother. Well, who wrote that? A father. Nice try. Moses was like the David Letterman of his day. From the home office on Mount Sinai, I am now holding in my hand the top 10 list of things thou shalt not do. Ladies and gentlemen, these are things thou shalt not do. What is a sin? Somebody else's idea of what you shouldn't do. Is it just a way to try to implement institutional control? Like comedy, sin is subjective, especially if you're the Pope. Well, it's not a sin if I do it. This is why I'd make a good Pope. Sin involves judgment, and isn't that a sin? Stupid Pope, stupid Catholic Church. Well, now that the Pope is no longer Pope, that means he's no longer infallible, which leaves only me. Don't forget to vote for James Tripp for Pope. And hey, if I win, Pope Party. And don't forget to buy my book. It's a sin if you don't buy my book. Avoid the penance and read the Hierophant. Available now at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. I'm James Tripp, and I'll be back with another Trippitorial.